unless you've got anything you want to end on, I think I'm gonna end this.
I think it's important that everyone knows it's all made up. And that my vocabulary is just fine. It's all about how you perceive everything.
I mean, this podcast is not gonna get ever popular enough to get like shirts.
Hey, who knows? Who knows, dude? You might be the next big comeback podcast star. You just need to get that one random ass moment when that you catch that viral audience. Who knows? It's all made up.
You have to get a shirt with that.
Oh yeah, start merch. Start merch now. Even way small. Get that Patreon going. Call Casper. Every podcast ever has a Casper sponsorship. Just do all the tropes. Just do all the tropes.
Maybe one day when I'm gonna have to. So because I'm moving, I'm gonna be losing a lot of the people I usually podcast with. So I'm gonna have to find a new group to podcast with, and so because of that, the podcast is gonna go on hiatus for a while.
I mean, you can always just my suggestion to you, because it's a talk show essentially.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Just like talk about shit for a while. Don't let it go on hiatus. Put out episodes more sparsely.
I think eventually I am gonna do like one or two.
Because I mean, what do you? I mean, keep recording for the blooper reel and all that. But like, what do you want to do with it? Do you want the podcast to be, like, how do you see it shaping out?
So.
Do you want that notoriety?
That's a tough.
Shit like that, or do you want?
The podcast continues. We're not ending yet. So.
Yeah. Now that we're done with the Q&A session, let's just kind of bullshit.
My original goal was to make something out of this podcast, and then I realized I'm moving. That really puts a wrench in my plans. So I realized, okay, this is going to be something that it's not going to be popular now, but people are going to come back to it. Which is also why I started to get a lot lazier with the editing.
Don't be lazy with the editing. I mean, one of the... Not that you're not
well, and that and the scheduling.
Not that you're not doing a great job, Pumpkin, but, like, your editing could be...
I understand.
Better. Like,
But you know, it's all made up, you know?
Yeah, no, it's all made up. Who gives a shit? That's just how I see the world. It's just my color of perception. But, like, yeah, like, what do you want out of it? Do you want to have this talk showy vibe where, like, an interview where you're sitting there asking questions to people? Or do you want, this is the topic of the day, let's see where it takes us? The spirit of GoofBallz is, well, that's all made up. Whatever. Yeah.
What the fuck ever. Us talking earlier during Yu-Gi-Oh! Could have been a podcast, I guess.
That's why I asked, like, if you, like, I think the best stuff, the best kind of comedy comes organically. Like, I feel like we were doing some funny shit. And, like... I think
the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is I'm really against using, like, any sort of camera. I can get into specific reasons why in a bit, but for something like Yu-Gi-Oh! It'd probably be helpful for the audience to see what we're doing.
It's because you don't want people to know you're black.
I've already said that on the show. in fact, there's... one of my friend Alex's favorite moments is, what was it? You know, believe it or not, I used to be black at one point.
I know, I like, see, I'm really thinking about such a weird thing to ask, and I feel whatever. I like the audio format. Things that include, like, videos, cams, streamers for, like, specific things, like video games. That's why I love podcasts so much, is because it's not visual. Like, tell me all about your Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck, but tell me about it. Don't make me watch something. That's just me. I like to just hear it because the time that I listen to stuff like this is when times that I'm listening to podcasts mostly is when I'm at work. I work by myself in the middle of the night, so, like, there's noise that I want to fill, and I want to hear something rather than watch and hear, because it uses up two of my senses, and I'm also doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't like listening to types of podcasts, like, honestly, like conversational podcasts, aside from my brother and me with the McElroys, which, anyway, everyone knows my brother and me. like that's the one only kind of talk show that I listen to. Everything else is storytelling.
Okay.
Because I want to hear someone tell me a story. I want someone to make everything up, and not sit there and try to tell you why everything's.
Wait, so what are your opinions on this one podcast? I think it's called GoofBallz. I mean, they're kind of a small channel. They're kind of up and coming.
I mean, they're kind of chilling. I think that they need to get a couple more sponsorships. No, but like, it's an interview style podcast.
So yeah, that's okay. I should probably circle back to what got us to this point. So GoofBallz was mainly for fun.
Mm-hmm.
I realized
that's fun.
Fun. That's also why I'm not really like too serious about like, oh, subscribe, like, comment.
Yeah, you're not
do
in
the
that,
things.
You don't have that scripted smash that YouTube like button.
Yeah, it's been proven that stuff kind of increases your viewership, but I don't focus on that because
Couldn't thumb it up.
Yeah, actually.
Do you see how that's such an easy? Like?
See, I don't like that we default to that.
I
There's
know,
got to
but
be
it's
better
just-
ways to explain what you mean.
But at the end, why do you need someone to understand? It just is what it is.
Because then otherwise they're gonna hate you.
Okay.
Hate, not understanding is what breeds hate.
Yeah, but not understanding and like there's no actionable thing. Like, okay, why do you have to understand me? You're gonna like me or not like me anyway. Like your first impression of me is just how you see me. Like why?
But you can change that.
Yeah, but then you're defending yourself and trying to convince someone that you're not this way. Why does it matter? It's all made up. Like you're never gonna see me again. This is how I view my life. I've lived every year. I've never lived more than a year at a time. So like when I say it's all made up, it's because I don't care enough to try to explain it to you. Like you're gonna get your own understanding out of the words that I said than how I mean them.
All right.
It's all made up. So that's just how I. Why does it
matter? All right. So back to GoofBallz. Yeah, it was for fun. Wanted to be serious at one point, but realized I'm moving. I'm gonna lose the available people, like the super available people. I'm gonna have to find new people to podcast with. I do eventually plan to make like maybe one or two like solo podcasts where I like explain something or other. I don't know. And then I might use this for like when I go into like game design. Maybe I plan
go
to
back and it's like having audio notes to steal ideas and shit.
I plan to
not steal. Steal's the wrong word.
I plan to do like a blog kind of thing where I want to say like GoofBallz in written form, but it's not that crazy. It's like maybe today I'll post about like my creative process behind this game, and then maybe the next day I'll post about like this is what's going on in my life or something. And then maybe one day I'll incorporate like GoofBallz into that. Instead of like a written post, you'll get like an audio post or something. Maybe one day I'll do that. But I have a feeling one day, like maybe not like right now, but one day a lot of people will come back to this. Something of a time capsule.
Okay, that's fair.
Now, how hard it's going to be to discover? I'm not sure how I want to make that.
I think it's more important to do it like consistently. Like, just do it. If that's what you want to happen, it could happen or it couldn't. But it will never happen if you don't do it. So, I mean, having all this there's the time capsule, I think that's a good idea. And just keep going at it until it's where you want it to be. Because nothing is like what we want the first time. It's the constant progression of, I guess, the constant keep doing it attitude. You definitely have it. If you want to do like that interviewee kind of talk show, podcast. When you go, where are you moving to?
I'm moving to Arizona, actually.
Doxing. So, Jonas something in Arizona. Okay, so when you move, you just find just dox.
Arizona's too broad of a location. So, like, I didn't censor North Dakota in one of the older podcasts because that's way too broad of a location.
But do you think that people will hear he's from North Dakota, or they're in North Dakota, so they just immediately have this perception of the person they're gonna be, rather
that
than
they're like from North Dakota
like
or something.
does your location like really matter? Like if I like
Well, the reason I don't
knowing that James is from the South, I guess that's just my prejudice. Knowing that James is from the South, I just immediately hear a Southern accent. Knowing that someone is from Florida just immediately makes me think they're crazy. So like being in North Dakota for the podcast, does that make your listeners think?
I think we're on different wavelengths on why I want to censor the names of like towns and stuff. People are crazy nowadays. I don't want them to find us.
You know what? That's true. People
I don't want to endanger people. People are crazy.
That's such an interesting point of view. I think it's crazy with the amount of things that people put out there, like information. Like, I was watching.
Why do you think I censor?
Yeah, but I mean, at what point? I guess, yeah. But why does it matter?
Here's my name and address. Beep 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 beep.
But how many people are? I guess, yeah.
Beep 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 beep.
Beep beep beep. I fucking dox this shit because this is like the same shit that you want to keep out of. Like, I don't like my door because I've got my dogs in here. Anyone who doesn't need to walk through that door is gonna hear the dogs and know not to. So like, I get that, but also like, don't go telling people I don't like my door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. It's just things that we do, but.
By the way, if you want to reach out to Jay, he lives at.
Oh yeah. North Dakota, apartment 7. You know what I mean? Like, it's out there. If someone comes and fucking murders me, well, it sucks. You know what I mean? It's all made up. If someone could come, someone could just wander in here and murder me. Like, what is that information being out there? Maybe it improves the like percentage. Makes the DC lower.
Yeah, I like that though. I have to make the person put in work to find me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm not going to do it for them.
I think of that.
My job is not to make their life easier.
I think of that meme where it's like, yeah, Trump's new immigration stuff is stupid. By the way, my mother-in-law lives, and then puts an address out there. That makes me think of shit like that. How long does it take you to edit this stuff? I mean, I'm assuming. Obviously, you have to go the length of the episode.
Yeah.
But like, how much time does it take you to edit it into? After listening to it again and marking the parts that you want, after that listen through, how much time do you think it'll take?
It actually usually takes longer than the actual length of the podcast on my listen through because I'm editing as I'm listening.
And you stop.
And sometimes, I'll start, restart, listen through. I guess it also depends on like the person. So like. Yesterday, I was complaining to Cody that Gabe's podcast was just fucking atrocious. It's not up yet, so you don't know the horror. But like, I'm listening to this thing and I'm like, because he's explaining like his D&D campaign, the shit that he did as a first time DM, the entire story of his campaign. I remember the moment that he did that while I was there. I missed so much as a result. The story is confusing. It's still confusing, but now I know why. One, he word vomits a lot.
I know.
He just like spews a whole bunch of words in rapid succession. Then on top of that, I'm the only one in the same group that has like good, what do you call it? Enunciation, I guess. Well, I guess Alec too, but
Docs.
I've already said that. And so in the middle of that word vomit, there's also, he either like repeats the words and then maybe circles back to it later, or he'll be saying the word and he'll stop mid-word and then try to start again, but he'll stop again, and then maybe he'll like just say fuck it and continue, which makes it really hard to just like, cut that part out because then you miss part of the word. So like, oh, okay. I think I give you the example actually. Apple. I can't just cut out fucking the p. It's apple.
Yeah.
That's not what he said. Or apple. What the fuck do you do to that?
Right. Yeah, I understand.
And then compounding that, maybe 98% of the time he is talking. There's not much of me in there. So the entire thing is like that. So, okay, I've got to cut parts out. I got to figure out what he's actually saying. So I can figure out what to cut out. Sometimes I got to slow it down because it's just happening way too fast, and even still I can't understand it.
Well, good luck editing through all my bullshit.
This, I think, might be easier because, well, for one, you can actually speak.
I know.
Two.
A couple weeks ago, I sounded like shit.
Oh, well, that's not what I'm talking about, but that too.
That too. I just think with it being in like an audio format, it just sounds. I'm sure I'm gonna listen to this and hate everything that I've said. But also, I'm high and drunk, so.
Why did I say it's all made up of so much?
No, I definitely not. That's all made up. But like, I don't know. I think I can't imagine having to like sit there and re-listening to a conversation that you've had.
Well, okay, that's.
I bet that gets annoying.
The beauty of it, though, is because I'm a little bit lazy. I'll admit.
So you don't listen the first time around.
It took me so long to actually get to the stuff, so now I have a backlog. But as a result, I've forgotten a lot of the conversations we had. So sometimes it really is like listening to a new podcast.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Beautiful sometimes. Like I found some moments legitimately funny, and sometimes I was able to predict what I would have said. But
that's fair. Would you use Audacity or something?
Yes, actually, I have it up right here.
I have such horrible vision that I can tell that there's windows open, but I can't tell what they are.
Yes, it is. We are using Audacity.
How much did mine cost you?
This mic, like 80 something, I think. I bought it for school.
For the game stuff? For like Foley work?
No, it was. I was taking an online speech class, where instead of like being
Working
in the
on your
class.
diction?
No, like instead of being in the class and giving a presentation, you do it online. I kind of failed because one, I couldn't find anybody who was willing to be recorded.
Yeah.
And two, it's kind of lazy.
Yeah, fair.
But as a result, I still have the microphone. So, at the time, part of the reason I wanted to do the podcast was someone thought was a good fit for the podcast wanted to do it as well. Actually, I think he still is if you like try it. But
I was talking to on the way to D&D last session. Oh shit! I lost my train of thought. Oh, about like when you said no one wants to be recorded. But I was talking to on the way to D&D at James's house. Because I was using Google Voice, like, hey Google, text James this. And he's like, oh, are you not worried about like being recorded and shit? I'm like, who cares? Like, it's all made up at some point. Like, I think it's so funny about what people are so afraid to have recorded. Going back to that, having shit thrown at you in 10 years. I think that's such a weird thing it's such a weird worry that people have. Like, how are you afraid to be recorded? Like, what you're saying is what you're saying. Why does it matter?
I think it all boils down to people don't want to die.
You say people don't want to die?
Yes.
I think everything is that. Everything we do is
So,
an avoidance of that, but tell me more.
before I do, I just want to ask you. Hold on. I want to capture the audio of you shuffling.
Is that bad or good?
It's bad.
Okay.
But
well, I mean, like I said, at some point, this is less a podcast and more of just a conversation. Like, have a conversation with me and then take the nuggets that you want out of it. You don't have to keep recording if you don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, you already got your podcast part. But these are real moments.
It's like a GoofBallz extra at this point, probably.
Less of an extra, more of me talking to my friend. You know what I mean? Like, do what you gotta. But anyway,
I do want to ask you why you grabbed the cards.
Oh, just because I want you to tell me a story, and I want to see. I just want to see what you.
You want to tell my fortune the cards?
No, not necessarily fortunes. I think that I grabbed my tarot deck for my audio media listeners. Don't just pick 3 cards. Choose 3 cards. There's a distinction there.
Okay.
Don't just pick.
Would you like to elaborate on the distinction before I pick this card?
Don't just. No, I mean, you already got it. Go for it.
All right.
But don't just like, I'll take that one, that one. Just choose 3. I don't care. Just. Hey, it's all made up. That's just how I view it.
All right.
Let that mean whatever it means to you.
So I'm grabbing tarot cards. Is there any specific story you want me to tell you?
No, I just want to see. I just want to see. Why does it matter?
Okay. All right. In this case, let me tell you the story of Benicia. He wanted to become the greatest boxer who ever lived. Oh, I got the Knight of Wands. And some rods.
Just throw it out there and just tell me.
And that. The Knight of Wands. He's got a stick. The same stick that's on this card. What? The 8? Yes. The 8 of sticks.
8 of Wands.
8 of Wands. Okay. That makes more sense, actually.
Because it's the same stick that the Knight of Wands is holding.
And then the 8 of stars? Maybe?
Pentacles, but I mean coins. Who gives a shit? It's whatever you want to call it.
All right, Benicia was trained to become a heavyweight boxer, even though she was like lightweight. It's weird. Don't question it.
It's all made up.
But one day, she met an actual heavyweight boxer, and just got the shit kicked out of her at the end.
She got beat the fuck up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I love it. I think that.
I want you to rate my story on a scale of 1 to 10.
Scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna go ahead and give it I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yes.
For follow through at the at the end. For follow through at the end, I'm gonna give it an 8.
You hear that, Mom?
Stuck the landing. It's more important to stick the landing. I bought this deck while I was in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just for funsies. But like,
do you even like?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I'm literally just making up as I go.
Oh yeah. You just like tell people's fortunes, like
it's not even just telling a fortune.
You're gonna get like 8 coins and like some wands and shit. I don't know.
It's like what are they called? Rorschach tests.
I have no idea.
Ink blots.
Oh.
It's like an ink blot test.
Okay.
Like, tell me. I don't know.
All right. Well, I see.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I
like,
see a man.
That was the story. That was the story that you told me. That was I don't know.
All right. Oh, in that case.
Why does it have to mean anything?
All right. I'm gonna craft a story out of these cards then.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Just pick like
practice improv.
Okay. I'm here. I'm picking 3 more cards out of this deck. You can probably hear it actually. So this is a story about the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords was white, I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell with these old arts. One day he got really sick, and his leg broke. And he followed this woman around who was also sick. Around the church. He decided in order to fix this, he needed to become a better master at the swords. Yes. And one day he just trained so hard, he took Saitama's training regimen and became the Ace of Swords. The end.
Okay, alright. So your Page of Swords became a sword master. And then, but as he was working during his broken leg, after he got mastered, that broken leg ended up being his fucking downfall. That dude died for sure. See, the thing is, he was married to this one bitch, but after she collected the life insurance policy from him dying, She went through a big ass party and ended up getting married.
Poor Page of Swords. 2019 to 2019. Sad. I guess I'll add on to this story. Oh no, we're on a new character. Alright, well, the King of Wands saw all this happening. Actually, no, he didn't see this happening. He saw something else happening. He saw a blind woman being tied up to a bunch of other swords. The same swords that, what's his name? The Page of Swords used in his sword thing. Yes. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Go with what feels right. Just say yes to the bit.
Yeah.
What is the rule? Yes and.
I have no idea what that means, so.
How are you going to ask me about comedy and the state of comedy and you don't know yes and?
I'm talking about the state of comedy, not comedy itself.
No.
Okay, well, the King of Wands was being questioned by his friend about comedy. And so he just picked up the sword and just like...
Just fucking beat him with it.
Yeah. With the hilt, not the sword part.
Non-lethal damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have no idea what the fuck these mean. I'm literally just making shit up. There's so many wands.
Yeah. Wands intro deck. It's actually an allegory. It's probably like a gay metaphor or something. Grab your wand. Grab all the wands.
Isn't everything a gay allegory?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very homoerotic. It's just a hand grasping a staff. It even looks like kind of like a dick. But it doesn't everything dicks? Everything is dicks. Do you ever watch, was it Cracked? They had a, like, video series called After Hours.
I think I've seen a few videos of Cracked. I don't know if it's exactly After Hours, but...
I always like that, like, round table... I know it's scripted, so it's obviously, like, off the color wit. I always thought those were a trip. You should look them up.
Yeah.
I think it's a good sense. Those comedy writers were the ones also starring in their videos. And I like that they scripted it out, but also a lot of it was like other people thing. You don't watch Critical Role, right?
I don't.
Okay. So they have After Hours. Not After Hours, what's it called? Talks Machina. Where after the game they like talk about, because they, for the most part, they stay in character in the game. So afterwards they talk about like why their character did this and like giving it context. I like shit like that. People that can tell a story well. Because I think storytelling is, without necessarily having to be comedic, it's just things that are told well are just entertaining to listen to. Which I'm sure this is going to be a shitty podcast because I'm sure I'm not entertaining to listen to.
You never know.
Who knows? It's all in the editing.
Didn't you tell me that you were going to steal the show?
That's because, girl, I steal every show. Everything is
well, steal the show. Now's your chance. The show's almost over, but steal the show.
Girl, the show ended so long ago, though. It's already going to be 5. You said you have to be in bed by 5.
Yeah. It's like 4. Almost.
It's so weird interacting with someone because I work all day alone. Or not all day. Day is my day and my night. I mean, the same thing. They're interchangeable. It's Schrodinger's box. Unless I'm specifically referring to one or the other, it means both. But I never get to talk to people because when I'm awake, everyone's asleep. Yeah, everyone's awake. Or everyone's asleep when I'm awake. And everyone's awake when I'm, like, asleep. So I'm sure my speech patterns are more probably out of practice more than anything. You know what I mean? Like, wanting to sit and record a conversation is a lot different when, like, the days that I have off, like last night and today, like, doing shit around the house. So, like, when you don't have a conversation for 2 days with really anyone, like, you go to the store, you'd be like, no, how much is this, blah, blah, blah. But, like, talking to people, you gotta practice. Most of the days, you can hear my dogs in the background, like, they're being assholes, because I spend most of my time with them, so they're craving my attention, like, why aren't I out there?
Yeah.
Because I work at night, so I work, like, 10 to 6, and my bosses are in bed, or my bosses are at home in bed. All I have to do is make donuts for the shop to open. I go home, and I live alone, which fucking thank God I'm tired of having roommates.
Mm.
In LA, you almost always have to have a roommate because it's so fucking expensive.
Mm.
So like the conversations that I have when I'm like not asleep are to the fucking dogs. So like having a conversation here is more challenging than you think it is. Also, something social anxiety.
I guess.
You know what I mean? Like I've said from like I said, I have no shame. So like, I have social anxiety. It's like I'm a little bit crazy. So like, having a conversation isn't something that I normally do. So I'm not around enough people to do it. So I feel out of practice, which makes me think. I bet I said this wrong. You know what I mean? Social anxiety. That's why everyone texts. And no one talks on the phone because no one wants to talk to anyone else. I think that's why podcasts are such a big thing right now. Is because people are having conversations, and then if I want to listen to that conversation, like, they get to pick and choose.
I should probably say more words because people can't hear me nodding. Alright. I guess I'll ask it again. Anything you want to end on?
You look like a sleepy boy.
A little bit. Could probably go like another hour or something, but...
I mean, I've talked plenty. Edit to the best of your ability to make this into something that makes sense, because, you know.
Well, like I said, the latter half of this will probably be like a GoofBallz extra. I should probably explain to you and the audience what GoofBallz extra is. It's like the parts of the podcast I don't exactly think are worthy of an episode on their own, but too good to just axe completely.
B-sides.
Yes. I guess.
God, I forgot I'm so much older than you. Gross.
No, I know what B-sides are, but...
I believe you.
I don't believe you. Alright. Well, always late to the scene. I am Man Manson, the local gay invading our white Christian community, the sleepiest boy that has been.
Jay, the local heretic du jour.
Alright. And we'll see you guys next time. It's weird, you weren't like casting any magic this time.
I know, my witch magics. Docs.
Alright. White guy.
Oh fuck, that's right, you started recording already. With Ragna, I'm trying to live by your,
Alright,
how you
Ragna.
see the world. For Ragna, I like that, I'm really into the fact that he knows how he also wants to play his characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good trait. I'm really into that.
Alright.
And then shout out to the dude for always having. Oh, we need what did he make? He made our inspiration charms or whatever.
Almost everything, really, but
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, for sure. I love the commitment. I'm into it.
All right.